For those of you with children, you can relate. We've all spent many hours at the kids' park pushing the kids on the swings. In fact, we used to swing there as children. Remember those worn out seats? Today we're going to be making a swing seat. For those of you that are gardening enthusiasts, let's call it the English poppy. So the materials I've used to make this: 2 sheets of 18mm builder's ply cut to 6/10 squared. The guys at Builders cut that for me. Fair amount of waterproof wood glue, 4x40mm screws, 3 large fender washers, and some 10mm nylon rope. The tools you're going to need is a pencil and a ruler, a jigsaw, a drill driver with a screw pilot, a 13mm spade bit, a Phillips driver bit or a Phillips screwdriver, a sander with 80 grit sandpaper. Then to finish it off, some wood primer, and then your gloss enamel color of choice. We need a gloss enamel. It's a hard wearing paint. It's going to be out in the sun and the rain 24/7. Right, let's get cracking. The first step is to find the center point of our board, and to do that, a really easy way is to join the diagonal corners on opposite sides. Right, and where those lines intersect, that is the center point. The next step is to draw the outer circle for our seat, and drawing perfect circles is not my strong point. So I've made up a little jig, piece of fish line and a nail, and we'll use this as a giant compass. Keeping the fish line tight, I'm going to draw my circle. Okay, that's our circle drawn. Next step is to draw the cutouts for the petals. Now you can eyeball this, but this is how I did it. On each of the diagonal lines we marked earlier, I'm going to measure in 50mm from the outside and make a small pencil mark. Now I want to join these marks to the outer circle to give us the curvature of the petals, and having a stencil would make it a lot easier. A painter. Perfectly round base, line up the mark, line up the outer circle, and draw your line. Then I'm going to move my paint and stencil, line up the mark with the outer circle, and work our way around the board. There we go, and these areas are all going to be cut off. So there's the cut line that we're going to use the jigsaw to cut out the shape. But first we're going to laminate the 2 boards to make it nice and thick and sturdy. It may even hold my weight. Now to laminate these, we're going to put wood glue on the bonding surfaces, and then we're going to put a couple of screws in the back just to hold it together. So let's mark out for the screws. Now it's important to make sure that the screws are in the inside of the cut line. Now the next step is to mark out the 3 holes that we're going to drill for the rope, and having a hole at the 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock position will make sure the swing seat is balanced. Now using your fender washer, make sure that you're within the outside cut line and mark your 3 drill holes. And that'll make sure that your drill holes do not clash with the screw marks we made earlier. Time to glue them together. Remember to keep your pencil marks on the outside, so I'm going to flip this one over and apply a healthy dose of wood glue. Using the other sheet, I'm going to work the glue in a bit, line them up as best as we can, and using the screw pilot, I'm going to drill the pilot holes on the marks that we made earlier. And we've countersunk them, which will accommodate for the head of the screw, so they'll be nice and flush on the bottom of the board. Now I'm going to fasten the 2 boards together using the wood screws. There we go, all the screws are in, and before we cut, sand and paint this, I'm going to drill out the 3 holes for the rope using a 13mm spade bit. To avoid blowout on the bottom of the sheet, I'm going to put an offcut underneath and drill into this. No blowout on the back, and now we can take our jigsaw and cut out the circle. There we go, a perfect-ish circle. Next is to cut out the petals along the lines we marked earlier. And you're not going to get a jigsaw around this tight bend, so I suggest coming in from either side. Next step is to give it a sanding. Now Builder's ply is a fairly rough wood, so I'm using an aggressive 80 grit sandpaper to get it smooth, get rid of the burrs, and make sure there's no splinters for fingers. You'll notice I've left the center mark. We're going to need that later to get this circle when we do our paint color. Time to get the primer on. As always with painting, read the instructions on the tin, and when you're painting wood, always go with the grain. Now you'll notice I'm painting from the inside to the edge, because if I come from the edge inward, I end up with a run mark down the front. You need to let this primer dry properly before you apply any form of top coat. I would suggest leaving it overnight. But like every good cooking show, we've got one prepared, fresh out the oven, and now it's time to let your creativity go wild. Get the kids involved, choose your colors, have fun. Let's get painting. Now we can just see our center mark through the primer. Take your paint-tin, put it roughly in the middle, and trace your circle. Now if you want to, you can measure the distance from here to the edge, but I'm pretty happy with that. And as it's a gloss enamel, this paint is hard wearing to the elements. I'd suggest going with 2 coats, allowing it to dry completely before applying your second coat. There we go, 2 coats done and dried. The last step now is to string it up so we can hang it. Thread your rope through the hole, through the large washer, which will prevent the knot from pulling out, and I'm going to do a figure of 8 knot. To do your figure of 8 knot, take the rope over your fingers, over the top of the rope, around the back, and down through the front. There's your figure of 8, pull it tight, and pull it through. And exactly the same for the other 2 holes. There we go, ready for hanging in a tree, or better yet, on a swing set. And if you want to see how to make one of those, check out the link below. Now remember, everything we've used is available at Builders, in-store or online at builders.co.za. For more DIY videos like this, check out the blog. Get to Builders, get it done.